We are in the halftime window across the nation. Week 11 of college football, the noon Eastern time window, right here at the Voice of College Football. I want to get you updated and hit on the major happenings across college football, especially concerning the national championship college football playoff contenders. Indiana's on the move right now, trailing 28-7, just seconds left in the first half there. Let's get to that story first. We'll talk Ohio State, Indiana first and foremost. The Buckeyes, of course, undefeated at 9-0, number 2 in the college football playoff rankings. Okay, the major development right now is that Mayan Williams was rolled up under by Indiana linebacker Aaron Casey on Ohio State's final drive of the first half. Just minutes ago, Mayan Williams rolled up by Aaron Casey, and he had to leave the field. It did not look good, and Mayan Williams is tearing it up in the first half for the Buckeyes. 15 carries for 147 yards and a touchdown. And again, this is a developing situation. Chip Tranum, the linebacker, running back, linebacker, back and forth, Arizona State, Ohio State player who has switched to running back because of Ohio State's injuries at that position. He's not available this week. Travion Henderson, the 1A starter going into the season and for much of the season, he's been in and out of the lineup. He's not available. Mayan Williams tearing it up today. It looks not good for his condition for the second half. You can almost rule him out for the second half. Ohio State should be okay, leading by 3 touchdowns, but it may soon be 2 as Indiana's on the move inside the red zone. But man, Dallin Hayden, we talked about it throughout the week here at the Voice of College Football. C.J. Stroud is going to have to factor into the running game. We knew that even more so. And then also Dallin Hayden, we saw him run for a touchdown. And then also getting the wide receivers in play. Their first touchdown last week against Northwestern was an end around to Emeka Egbuka. And then the same thing we saw with Marvin Harrison getting into it this week. So again, developing situation. We don't know anything. It just doesn't look good. Mayan Williams, 147 yards in the first half and a touchdown, carried to the locker room. So that's where we stand on Ohio State and Indiana in regards to the injury situation. And the main concern for Ohio State, anywhere on the field, offense, defense, special teams, the run game, of course, not performing well against the likes of Iowa, Penn State, and Northwestern. Showing a lot today because consider this, Northwestern, the team that stuffed Ohio State's run game for a large portion of the game. The Buckeyes did have final stats that showed that they were productive on the ground because they finally got it going in the second half. However, could not move Northwestern on 3rd and 4th and short. Well, Northwestern 108th in the nation in rush defense in yards per play. Indiana came in at 33, and they have like schedules. And if anything, Indiana plays a more difficult schedule, having played Michigan in particular. Indiana 33rd in the nation in rush defense, yards per play, and Ohio State was tearing them up. So good signs for the Buckeyes, but now Mayan Williams leaves the game. Again, I mentioned C.J. Stroud scrambling in the first half. First series of the ball game, C.J. Stroud, this would have been a surprise 2 weeks ago, but of course we saw him carry 6 times for 79 yards last week against Northwestern in the wind and rain. He scrambled to the outside on a designed keeper, and we haven't seen this out of C.J. Stroud. Lowered the shoulder on the defender, got physical to try to get the first down. You think these guys know what's coming up in 2 weeks? All right, we'll finish off with the Ohio State analysis here. Again, Mayan Williams, Marvin Harrison in the run game, first drive of the game, spectacular. The blocking has been, and again, this is against a stout Indiana rush defense. C.J. Stroud to Emeka Egbuka for the touchdown. The Indiana defensive backs, for some reason, Ohio State's at like the 4 or 5 yard line, and there were 3 Indiana defensive backs / linebackers who were in the bottom or back third of the end zone trying to defend a pass that was just thrown to the goal line for a touchdown. DeJuan Jones is out for Ohio State, and so he's out today. Other notes here, Marvin Harrison. Joel Klatt called him the best wide receiver in college football. Jackson Smith and Jigba was considered that guy, along with Jordan Addison coming into the season. But Marvin Harrison, of course, spectacular. And again, this Ohio State offense they've got a top 10 offense in the country statistically. They've got the number one scoring offense, and they've had all these injuries to the running backs, missing DeJuan Jones today, missing the guy that was considered the best wide receiver in college football coming into the season. So it's still pretty spectacular. CJ Stroud's on his game. He's missed a couple throws. Yes, he has. Development for Indiana. They switched it up, benched Connor Bazelak, brought in the backup Dexter Williams. Not much of a thrower at 36%. He's a runner, presents something different to the defense. But as soon as he comes into the ballgame and you see 36% thrower, he's a runner, he goes up top down to the 10-yard line, and that led to Indiana's first touchdown. He threw a beautiful ball to lead Indiana to that score right there you could see Ohio State's defense first in that series. The defensive backs didn't respect the pass. They bunched up. They played run, and they got burned. They didn't rotate. Ronnie Hickman in particular bit on that play. Jordan Hancock in rotation didn't get over. And so they got burned by the threat of the run and the perceived inability of the quarterback to throw the ball downfield. And then the next series, Ohio State adjusted to go to an extra linebacker, getting out of their two linebackers set to a third linebacker. So Cody Simon came into the game. And that was a great series for the Ohio State defense. If you saw Tommy Eichenberg start on that series, as he always does against the run with a tackle for loss, you had Ronnie Hickman with a great play downfield in which he caught up with a pass breakup. And then you had Steele Chambers with a one-handed tackle for loss on the quarterback, Dexter Williams. The Ohio State defense, much, much, much improved. We can nitpick, but all defenses give up some plays. But 7 points against Indiana today. Again, they have played extremely well. They're an improved unit by leaps and bounds. They did give up the one touchdown. That was A.J. Barner, the Indiana tight end / wide receiver. He's a tight end body at 6'6", 250, lined up against Cam Brown on the outside, and just tossed it up for the touchdown there. Julian Fleming dropped a bomb. That would have led to a touchdown. Unfortunately for the Buckeyes there, just flat out dropped the ball. He was open, hit him right in the chest. That would have taken Ohio State inside the 10. They later had to punt when Aaron Casey, the same guy that rolled up on Mayan Williams, one of the best defensive players in the Big Ten, he put a big rush on C.J. Stroud, forced an errant throw that stopped that series. And that's pretty much what we've got on the Ohio State side. So Buckeyes lead Indiana 28-7. But again, the big story, Mayan Williams leaves the game late in the first half. We've seen the switch, the transition of college football from a late summer, early fall sport weather scene to bam, last week, then this week. So last week, it was still warm across the Midwest. I live in the Midwest. It was 74 degrees yesterday in November. So if you live down south, you can't appreciate this, but 74 degrees in November, and it's been consistently like that. Well, places like the Midwest, meaning games in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Northwestern, there were hit by weather last week, but it was still warm. It was all that wind and rain. Well, this week, the temperature plummeted. Game time temperatures here. I went all over the place to find these. Morgantown, West Virginia, of course, the Sooners are in town for West Virginia, 46 degrees. Columbus, Ohio for the Buckeyes, Indiana, 35. Fayetteville, we'll talk about this game in just a second. LSU fans on the LSU channel, hang on, bear with me. 38 degrees in Fayetteville. We saw the icicles hanging from the goalposts in Fayetteville. Knoxville, it was only 45 to get today. Tennessee leading Mizzou right now, 28-14. There's just seconds left in the first half. Again, Tennessee leads Mizzou 28-14. We want to keep up with the national championship contenders here. Lexington, Kentucky, Vanderbilt in that game, 33 degrees. So the coldest spot of the ones that I surveyed, Lexington at 33 degrees. All right, on to the LSU game and what we see there. We appreciate your comments and questions here at the Voice of College Football, but this is something we've been doing here for a number of weeks, and actually going back years. We're kind of getting back to it because it's been pretty effective to jump on here during the noon Eastern time window just to break down what the stories are out there and the surprising starts and everything happening in college football, as we are just 3 weeks away, just 2 weeks away from the final weekend of the season. This is the third to last game right here. So let's move on to LSU and Arkansas. 6-3 Tigers lead right now. The Arkansas pass rush has been phenomenal from the first series of the game on through the entire first half of the game. So this is when it comes down to matchups, because LSU's been on fire. Of course, they posted one of the most prolific scoring and offensive displays in college football this season against Alabama, especially in the second half and fourth quarter against the Tide. And Arkansas's defense has been awful. Awful. And then look at the matchup today. If you believe in trap games, this is a trap game. Coming off the big Bama win in Death Valley, all the euphoria, LSU's taken over control of the SEC Western Division. 11 a.m. Eastern time start. 11 in the morning, lazy, cold, damp in Fayetteville for this game. And the Arkansas pass rush has taken over. 5 sacks in the first half. That's an SEC high this season for one half of play. One of those situations, though, on a 3rd and 18, LSU pulled it down. They gave it to Josh Williams, the walk-on running back, who has just been a phenomenal back and find for LSU football this year. Josh Williams picked up a 3rd and 18. Latavius Brini had a tremendous interception. Did you see this play? Jaden Daniels looked to throw a slant. Brini kind of one-handed it right in the middle of the line, picked it off. Tremendous plays by defensive linemen these days that on a fairly regular basis in a short distance can get their hands on the football and make an interception, with a guy throwing the ball like a Jaden Daniels firing the football on a slant route, and a guy like Latavius Brini is a few yards away, 4 or 5 yards away, and he catches the football. Arkansas stalled, though. LSU held. They had the ball in prime field position, but the LSU defense has been phenomenal this half. They're facing Malik Hornsby at quarterback for Arkansas instead of KJ Jefferson. Malik Hornsby, there's been much discussion about his career path at Arkansas in regards to wide receiver or quarterback. They've settled on quarterback, but he's not a polished, veteran, experienced quarterback. He has started some games, but again, more athlete than quarterback at this point in his career, but he's starting for KJ Jefferson. JD Daniels, Dominic had a forced fumble on him. JD Daniels pulled it from the running back on a read option play. JD Daniels pulled it, kept the ball. Dominic forced the fumble. Brini with another turnover as he recovered it at the LSU 10. So Arkansas is playing great defense in this game. They were up 3-0 at this point, but the LSU defense held. So Arkansas up 3-0, ball at the LSU 10 after the turnover, prime position to score to go up 2 scores, but the LSU defense holds. Mekhi Wingo made a great play on the final play on the 4th down and goal play to keep Malik Hornsby out of the end zone. So LSU holds. It's still 3-0. Brian Kelly getting a bit bold in this game. So there was a sequence in which LSU had a 4th and 1 at its own 22, 4th and 1, and they lined up to go for it. And Jaden Daniels pulled it, went around end, looked like he would have picked up the first down, but they had a false start. So that backed up to 4th and 6. Okay, well, they're going to punt it, of course. Nope. They ran the fake. And the punter barely got it. Unfortunately for LSU, the end guy that was sealing the edge to allow the punter on the left side to get to the first down marker, he made a great block, but he had to hold it forever. We're talking about a punter who's a zillion yards back, And then with 6 yards to gain on the 4th down, and he had to hold the block forever, called for holding. So LSU finally punted. But Brian Kelly showing us something here in recent weeks. Goes for the win against Alabama on the 2-point conversion, and says the heck with overtime. And then here today, 4th and 1 from his own 22, and then 4th and 6 fake punt from his own, whatever it was, 17. Harold Perkins. Perk is phenomenal. As they noted during the game, Greg McElroy in particular, that this guy really doesn't even know what he's doing at this point. But Harold Perkins is a phenomenal athlete. One play in particular, he tracked down Malik Hornsby, who is a track guy, like a legit track guy. Malik Hornsby sprinting to his left. Harold Perkins came out of nowhere, tracked him down, forced a fumble, recovered by B.J. Otalari, but the Arkansas defense held and forced a field goal to make it 3-3 at that point. Arkansas, again, with 5 sacks in the first half on LSU and Jaden Daniels, taking advantage of those 2 LSU freshman tackles that have played so well this season. That was one of the big question marks concerning LSU football coming into this season, was the 2 freshmen that had to play at the tackle positions, and they've held up well and played extremely well, but taking advantage of against Arkansas today. So again, we're at halftime, and Ohio State leads Indiana 28-7. The defense held at the end of the first half. LSU probably right back out onto the field against Arkansas, leads the Hogs 6-3 on the road. Other scores as they go to halftime in Knoxville: Tennessee 28, Mizzou 17. We got Hendon Hooker already with 220 yards passing and a touchdown in the first half. And Brady Cook's got 86 yards for the Mizzou Tigers. They're just starting play in Arkansas. Again, 6-3 LSU. Notre Dame leads Navy 35-13 at halftime. I've only seen really one play of that game, and it was Braden Lenzy. You got to catch this play. Look up the play at the end of your college football Saturday if you get a chance. Tremendous play by Braden Lenzy, catching a ball on the back of the Navy defender for a touchdown for the Irish. Drew Pine is 14 of 16 for 234 and 4 touchdowns for Notre Dame. Notre Dame just playing so much better football. Look at the Irish now. Look out USC in a few weeks. And then also Purdue, Illinois at halftime. I know that this does not factor into the college football playoff race, but if you love conference championship races, division races, 5 teams in play in the Big Ten Western Division, this is by far, at this point at least, the game of the year in the Big Ten Western Division. Purdue at Illinois. Illinois is the more physical team. I'm trying to watch 3-4 games at the same time. They look like the more physical team, but it's a tie game right now. And I can't provide much analysis on this one because I haven't seen much, even though I've had it on one of my screens. Purdue is tied with Illinois, so we're going to go down to the wire, possibly in that one, 14-all. Aiden O'Connell, 14 of 23 for 140. Devin Maccabee's the leading rusher in this game, not Chase Brown. Devin Maccabee with 76 yards. And let me quickly scan the comments to see if there's anything there. Ben, always appreciate Ben being here. Exploring with Ben, hit the like button. Thank you so much for that. We will be here throughout the day, as we always are, covering college football, tackling all the big occurrences and the big scores and everything. Right now, it's Mayan Williams to the sideline and to the locker room, rolled up by Aaron Casey, and Ohio State's 2 best running backs could be sidelined for the rest of the season. We shall see. So that's the big occurrence. And LSU in trouble, only leading by 3 at halftime at Arkansas. Appreciate you being here. We will be back later in the day. Don't really see anything in the comments section in regards to comments and questions to take to the screen. So thank you so much for being here. We will continue to break down college football right here at the Voice of College Football. See you soon.